What's up YouTube, DMLX here. With the year 2019 coming to a close, I'd like to present my top 10 most anticipated games of 2020 so far. And the reason I say so far is because there's bound to be more major game announcements later within the new year, most likely around E3. Plus, with 2020 being the year of the PS5 and Xbox Series X, the next gen consoles that will be released next holiday season, I guarantee there are going to be a lot of high profile games for the next gen being held closer to the vest until the latter half of 2020. Arkham Legacy! So, with that being said, let's get on with the countdown. Kicking things off at number 10 is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, a high-definition remaster of the critically acclaimed action RPG that was originally released on the Wii in 2012, which was then ported to the 3DS in 2015. Unfortunately, many gamers, including myself, slept on this game upon its initial release, but over time the game has garnered more appreciation for its engrossing combat, expansive world, and strong narrative, with the only quote-unquote downside being the game's graphical presentation held back by the Wii. However, now that the game is getting a visual overhaul with the same graphical style as Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and is releasing exclusively on the Switch, I'm expecting Shulk's quest for vengeance against the Mechon and unraveling the secrets of the Monado Blade are going to be as grand / emotional as it was when the game was released 7 years ago. Flying in on a Nimbus cloud at number 9 is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Now when this game was first announced, I'll admit I was showing off the idea of playing a Dragon Ball game that was retelling all the Z sagas for the 50th time. However, after taking the time to look over more of the gameplay features that the game offers in terms of how side quests help expand the lore, being able to play as other characters aside from Goku, and how the boss battles are choreographed, something tells me that this game is going to be crafted with a lot more effort compared to other open world anime games that have come before.
It's all art. That's just a trash can.
It's just a trash can. Yeah.
And even though I've seen these iconic Dragon Ball Z battles many times, whether in the anime or previous games, it seems that developers over at Cyberpunk 2 are finding new ways for players to experience these moments in a new light, both from a gameplay and a cinematic perspective. Plus, seeing Goku fish by reattaching his tail and using it as bait is a sight to behold all in itself, and just might be worth a day one purchase in my book. Emerging from the gates of hell at number 8 is Doom Eternal. Originally supposed to be released in November of 2019, Doom Eternal is the sequel to the first-person shooter Doom 2016, the reboot of the Doom franchise. In Doom Eternal, Bethesda is taking everything from the previous installment and improving upon it by doubling down on the demon-festive carnage, arming the Doomslayer with more powerful weapons to rip and tear classic and new demons to oblivion, as well as explore never-before-seen worlds rich with satanic detail and obstacles to overcome. Not to mention having a killer adrenaline-pumping heavy metal soundtrack to make the demon slaying all the more satisfying. Falling in number 7 is Tales of Arise. I'll be honest, I was never interested in the Tales of series up until this game's announcement at E3 2019, as most of the Tales of games' gameplay and storytelling techniques didn't appeal to my gaming preferences. However, with the unveiling of Tales of Arise, my interest for this new installment has peaked significantly, as it seems the developers over at Bandai Namco are aiming to revitalize the Tales of series by trying to appeal to more Western audiences with an improved graphical engine powered by Unreal Engine 4, altering the battle system that retains classic Tales of gameplay elements that veterans and newcomers can enjoy, as well as giving the story a darker aesthetic to stand out amongst the previous entries in the series. And based on what I've seen from the recent trailers, Tales of Arise is looking to have the potential to push the series to new heights with a deep story featuring a vibrant world, an intriguing cast of characters, and exhilarating combat that could lead to this game being held as one of the best action RPGs of 2020 or even the new decade. Rising from the shadows at number 6 is Ghost of Tsushima. From the developers of Infamous and Sly Cooper, Sucker Punch is looking to end this console generation with a bang by providing PS4 owners the Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan fans have always wanted. The gameplay allows for the players to engage in combat in various ways, whether it's direct confrontation with groups of enemies and being able to chain up a series of fatal assaults, using stealth when infiltrating enemy camps, or assassinating enemies via jumping off your horse for style points, as well as partake in 1v1 dueling with non-playable characters. In addition, the visuals in this game look incredible. The developers did a great job at capturing the countryside and expansive terrain of feudal Japan that is rich with color and ancient history worth wanting to explore more of, giving the player the time to appreciate the landscape during the quiet moments of the journey. So here's hoping there aren't any significant downgrades when the game releases in the summer of 2020.
No! This is
Reassembling in at number 5 is Marvel's Avengers. Ever since the release of Marvel's Spider-Man, developed by Insomniac, many Marvel fans have wondered what the next AAA Marvel game would be to match the quality of gameplay, visuals, and narrative storytelling. Well, looks like the developers over at Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal just gave us the answer with their third-person action-adventure game centered around Earth's mightiest heroes, reassembling to take down the corrupt organization known as AIM. The best way I can describe this game is that it's Marvel's version of Destiny. The game can be played offline as a single-player experience, or online with up to 4 people during certain aspects of the game. Also, there will be many customization options including abilities which can be upgraded using a skill tree, as well as interchangeable costumes that have been sourced from quote-unquote all corners of the Marvel universe. In addition to the promise of free DLC in the form of new regions to explore and characters to play as. So far, there are 6 playable heroes in Marvel's Avengers, whom include Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, and Ms. Marvel. Here's hoping Hawkeye makes the cut. Riding in at number 4 is The Last of Us Part 2. The sequel to one of the best PlayStation exclusives of all time, The Last of Us Part 2 is set 5 years after the first game, where Ellie and Joel have settled down in Jackson, Wyoming, living amongst a thriving community of survivors providing peace and stability despite the constant threats of the infected and other less friendly survivors. However, a violent event breaks that peace, which will probably end up being the death of Ellie's new girlfriend, Dinah, which then drives Ellie to embark on a relentless journey to seek out vengeance, and as she hunts down those responsible one by one, she'll be confronted with the devastating physical and emotional repercussions of her actions. Players will be experiencing another story in the game as well, from the perspective of an unnamed woman that many fans are theorizing is Ellie's mom, Anna. So expect their storylines to intersect by the later half of the game. The gameplay looks even more intense than the first Last of Us, as it seems Naughty Dog is taking the time to improve the melee combat to feel more grounded/brutal, better fluidity with movement when evading enemies, and more stealth options to better avoid detection. There's a lot of pressure on Naughty Dog's engine to deliver the goods, and I have no doubt that the game will meet my expectations. However, Joel ends up being a figment of Ellie's imagination. That's going to be an automatic uninstall moment for me. Omni-slashing in at number 3 is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. One of the most celebrated/influential RPGs of all time is finally getting the next-gen treatment, with updated visuals powered by Unreal Engine 4, a revamped battle system, a more expansive narrative, remastered music, and a new voice cast. Personally, out of all the Final Fantasy games, I find that Final Fantasy VII has the most interesting lore and characters, from Cloud Strife to Tifa, Aerith, Barret, and of course, Sephiroth. Still, the only downside to the Final Fantasy VII Remake is that Square Enix plans on releasing the remake in episodic installments to quote-unquote avoid cutting content, with the first installment being entirely set during the Midgar portion. Furthermore, we don't know how many parts the Final Fantasy VII Remake will end up having, or how many years we'll have to wait for the other installments to release. My guess is that there will be 3 parts of the Final Fantasy VII Remake when it's all said and done. But rest assured, Square promises that Part 1 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake will feel like a full-fledged Final Fantasy game. Which means for all those Vincent Valentine fans out there, looks like you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to see your vampiric edgelord in action. Jumping into slip space at number 2 is Halo Infinite. Set to be launching alongside the Xbox Series X, Halo Infinite, aka Halo 6, is looking to be the most ambitious Halo installment yet, with the developers over at 343 going so far as to create a whole new engine for the game, dubbed as the Slip Space Engine, giving Halo Infinite that classic visual style more in line with the original Halo trilogy. Other than that, little is known about Halo Infinite in terms of the game's campaign and multiplayer. Still, Halo is one of my favorite game series of all time. It's a series that got me into online gaming, and I'm interested to see how 343 will wrap up the Reclaimer saga, as well as how the game will lay the groundwork for future installments. Here's hoping 343 can stick the landing and get the series back on track, with Halo being one of the most beloved shooters gaming has to offer. Lastly, hacking in at number 1 is Cyberpunk 2077. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15, Cyberpunk 2077 is a game I've been waiting years for ever since the game's teaser trailer dropped in 2013. CD Projekt Red has proven with the Witcher series, more specifically The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, they know how to craft a world rich with content that's worth experiencing, as well as telling engaging stories that'll keep you hooked for hours on end. And Cyberpunk 2077 plans to do just that, where you play as V, a mercenary outlaw going after a prototype implant that is apparently the key to immortality, all the while exploring the massive world that is Night City, where the choices you make shape the story and the world around you. Plus, bringing in the breathtaking Keanu Reeves as V's AI companion is the cherry on top. So suggesting in the comment section down below, what are your most anticipated games of 2020? And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, really helps me out. Subscribe for more content from me on games in general. I'm DMLX. I'll see you in the future.